Pink Floyd drummer Nick Mason isn't just a rock legend. He is also one of the most renowned car collectors in the world. His collection spans nearly every era of racing history and is worth more than $70 million, a figure that exceeds every penny he ever earned from one of the best-selling bands in music history. He stores them in 2 aircraft hangars in the English countryside. He races most of them. He bought one for £35,000 in 1977 that is now worth $70 million. And he describes the entire collection as a curious muddle of cars. This is that muddle, counted down from the least to most expensive. The man who races what he owns. Before the list, you need to understand what separates Nick Mason from virtually every other celebrity car collector on Earth. Mason does not park his cars. He races them. He has competed in the 24 Hours of Le Mans 5 times, including once in a car from his own collection, and is a regular at the Goodwood Revival and Le Mans Classic. His wife Annette and his children race under the family's 10 Tenths racing banner, named for the racing term meaning driving completely at the limit beyond what is safe. Brian Johnson of AC/DC described Mason's collection as worth as much as his earnings from Pink Floyd, a staggering statement about a man who helped sell more than 250 million albums. The collection is not an investment portfolio. It is a racing team with an unusually large and historically significant fleet. Car number 10, the 1901 Panhard et Levassor 7 HP, estimated $200,000. The oldest car in Nick Mason's collection is a 1901 Panhard et Levassor 7 HP, a machine that predates the concept of a car as most people understand it. The Panhard et Levassor was one of the pioneering French automobile manufacturers of the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and the 7 HP represented the state-of-the-art in 1901, powered by a front-mounted 2-cylinder engine producing approximately 7 horsepower. Mason's example participates every year in the London to Brighton Veteran Car Run, the oldest motoring event in the world. The Panhard does not sit in his hangar as a museum exhibit. It drives to Brighton every year, carrying Mason through 55 miles of English countryside in a vehicle over 120 years old. Estimated value is approximately $200,000, the most modest car on this list, financially and arguably the most significant historically. Car number 9, the 1935 Aston Martin Ulster, estimated $1 million. Nick Mason began his racing career in an Aston Martin Ulster, and he owns 3 of them, which tells you everything about what this car means to him personally. The Aston Martin Ulster was the competition car that made Aston Martin's international reputation before the Second World War. It was powered by a 1.5-liter 4-cylinder engine in a lightweight chassis designed specifically for endurance racing, and it competed at the Mille Miglia, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, and virtually every significant race of the early 1930s. The Ulster designation came from the car's success at the Ulster Tourist Trophy race in 1934 and 1935. Mason made his racing debut in one of these cars at a windswept, low-key race meeting in England, and the experience defined the direction of his entire collecting philosophy. He did not become a collector who happened to race occasionally. He became a racer who collected the cars he wanted to compete in. 3 Aston Martin Ulsters in the same collection is not the act of an investor calculating return on asset. It is the act of a man who loves a specific machine so much he needed to own 3 of them. Each Ulster is valued at approximately $1 million. Car number 8, the 1927 Bugatti Type 35B, estimated $1 to $2 million. Nick Mason bought his Bugatti Type 35B in the 1970s for a modest sum, then spent 3 years, multiple trips across Europe, and what he described as an eye-watering amount of money to rebuild it. He has been racing it at historic events ever since. The Bugatti Type 35 is the most successful racing car in history by total wins, with over 1,000 race victories between 1924 and 1930. The Type 35B is the supercharged 2.3-liter variant, producing approximately 138 horsepower through a straight-8 engine whose aluminum wheels are cast in one piece with the brake drums, a design solution copied by manufacturers for decades. Mason's example is a regular at the Goodwood Revival and is valued between $1 million and $2 million. Car number 7. The 1959 Maserati Tipo 61 Birdcage, estimated $3 to $4 million. Built in 1959, and the last of 6 Tipo 61 Birdcage race cars built by Maserati, Mason's car began life in North America before coming to the UK. It gets its nickname from its extraordinarily complex tubular steel space frame chassis, which comprises approximately 200 tubes of various sizes, welded together to form a structure that is simultaneously rigid, lightweight, and impossible to repair without specialist knowledge. After the success of the 250F Grand Prix car, cash-strapped Maserati built the Tipo 61 for private teams, a 2.0-liter four-cylinder sports racer that, when tested by Sir Stirling Moss, broke the sports car lap record at Goodwood. Mason has raced his Birdcage at historic events, and values for original examples with racing history sit between $3 and $4 million. Car number 6. The 1953 BRM V16, estimated $4 to $5 million. One of only 3 examples in existence, Mason's 1953 BRM V16 MK2 is the kind of car that automotive historians discuss in reverential tones. The British Racing Motors V16 was one of the most technically audacious Formula One cars ever designed, featuring a supercharged 1.5-liter 16-cylinder engine that produced an extraordinary shriek at full throttle, and was described by drivers as both terrifying and magnificent. The V16 was developed at enormous cost as part of Britain's effort to challenge Italian dominance in Grand Prix racing. Its power output was exceptional, but its reliability catastrophic, requiring specialist knowledge to operate and extraordinary bravery to race. Mason owns one of only 3 surviving MK2 examples in the world. Estimated value sits between $4 and $5 million. Car number 5. The 1957 Maserati 250F, estimated $5 million. In 2009, the Maserati 250F was voted the world's greatest racing car. Nick Mason owns one of only 26 examples ever built, and this specific car was raced in the era when Juan Manuel Fangio and Sir Stirling Moss were competing for world championships. The Maserati 250F was a dominant Grand Prix car of the mid-1950s, powered by a naturally aspirated 2.5-liter 6-cylinder engine producing 266 horsepower through a lightweight aluminum tubular ladder frame. Fangio drove a 250F to the 1957 World Championship in what is still discussed as the greatest individual drive in Formula One history, the German Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. Mason's example is one of only 26 built before Maserati's financial collapse ended factory racing in 1957. Current value is approximately $5 million. Car number 4. The 1955 Jaguar D-Type, estimated $10 million. The Jaguar D-Type won Le Mans 3 consecutive times between 1955 and 1957. Mason owns a 1955 example from the exact model year of that first victory, and he has stated that the D-Type is one of the most beautiful sports cars ever built, a judgment he makes from direct experience. The D-Type was designed by aerodynamicist Malcolm Sayer using aircraft design principles applied to a racing car for the first time. The monocoque structure used aircraft-grade aluminum alloy. The distinctive fin behind the driver's head served an aerodynamic purpose at high speed, and the 3.4-liter inline-6 engine produced 250 horsepower in original specification. Jaguar only manufactured 17 factory racing cars, 11 with the long nose configuration, plus 54 customer road racing cars. The D-Type that Mason owns is from the most celebrated model year in the car's competition history. If sold, PistonHeads estimated it could fetch at least 10 million British pounds. In dollar terms, that figure currently sits at approximately $12 million. Mason does not plan to sell it. Car number 3. The Ferrari F40 Michelotto LM, estimated $3 to $5 million. Nick Mason's Ferrari F40 is not a standard example of one of Ferrari's most celebrated supercars. It is one of only 19 F40s upgraded to the Michelotto Racing Team LM specification, a package that transformed an already extraordinary car into a full racing machine. The standard Ferrari F40 produced 478 horsepower from its 2.9-liter twin-turbocharged V8 engine and was the first production road car to exceed 200 miles per hour. The Michelotto LM specification pushed power to 720 horsepower through revised turbochargers, improved intercooling, upgraded suspension, and aerodynamic enhancements developed for the F40 GTE racing program. Mason's example carries a distinctive paint scheme featuring a red and yellow Union Jack symbol on the bonnet and sides, alongside the registration plate, F40 NPF, standing for Nick and Pink Floyd. It is impossible to confuse this car with any other F40 in existence. Mason has driven and raced this car extensively. It is not a display piece. It is a working racing machine that he runs at events alongside cars that predate it by decades. Car number 2. The McLaren F1, estimated $20 million. Nick Mason owns a McLaren F1 with the registration plate K40 MCL, and he uses it regularly, which means the world's most exclusive road car of the 1990s is driven to events, raced at track days, and on one occasion crashed at the 2017 Goodwood members meeting before being repaired and returning to active use at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2022. The McLaren F1 was designed by Gordon Murray and intended from its inception to be the greatest road car ever built. It achieved that ambition. The driver sits centrally flanked by 2 passengers, slightly behind, an arrangement that places the driver at the precise center of the vehicle for optimal weight balance. The engine is a 6.1-liter V12 built by BMW's Motorsport division, producing 627 horsepower in road specification. The engine bay is lined with gold foil for heat management. The car weighs just 1,138 kilograms. Its 240 miles per hour top speed held the record for the fastest naturally aspirated production car for over a decade. And when McLaren entered a lightly modified version at the 1995 24 Hours of Le Mans, it won outright at its first attempt. Only 106 McLaren F1s were built. Mason's example, valued at approximately $20 million, is one he infamously crashed and had repaired, demonstrating more clearly than any interior ever could that this is a car he drives with genuine commitment rather than preserving as an investment. Car number 1. The 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO, estimated $50 to $70 million. In 1977, Nick Mason paid £35,000 for a Ferrari 250 GTO. He has raced it at the Goodwood Revival and the Le Mans Classic. He drives it. He takes it to events. And as of today, the car he paid £35,000 for is worth somewhere between $50 and $70 million. Only 36 Ferrari 250 GTOs were ever built between 1962 and 1964. Enzo Ferrari personally approved every sale, scrutinizing buyers to ensure the cars would be raced competitively. The 250 GTO was designed specifically for homologation into FIA Group 3 Grand Touring car racing, and it succeeded immediately. It won the Tour de France automobile 3 consecutive times, competed at Le Mans, dominated international GT racing throughout its production period, and became what many serious automotive historians consider the most beautiful racing car ever built. The 3.0-liter V12 engine produces 300 horsepower in a car weighing approximately 880 kilograms. Every panel, every fastener, every component exists because it makes the car faster or because it is structurally necessary. There is nothing extra. One example sold privately for $70 million in 2018, the highest price ever paid for an automobile at that point. Another sold for $51.7 million at auction. Mason's example, with its decades of active racing history under his ownership, sits at the pinnacle of the most valuable model of the most valuable era of Ferrari's production. He describes it simply as one of the most important cars he has ever owned. The man who played drums on The Dark Side of the Moon, one of the best-selling albums in history, bought the most coveted racing car in history for £35,000. He races it. He has raced it against other GTOs in events specifically organized for these cars. He has driven it across the English countryside. He has taken it to the track that inspired its creation. Nick Mason's collection is worth more than everything Pink Floyd ever earned. He keeps it in 2 aircraft hangars. He calls it a curious muddle. And at the center of that muddle, worth $70 million, sits a car he bought for £35,000 because he thought it was the right car at the right moment. He was correct. He almost always is.